in my own religious upbringing, I was raised in a very Christian-oriented environment. And so in the methodology that I thought I was supposed to do, I questioned. I said, Jesus, to be your will be done. Can I talk to Steve? And I laid there in bed. This was like 2 o'clock in the morning. As far as I knew, my wife was already asleep. And she was pregnant for our second child, and we had one already. So they were already asleep. And as I laid there, I was projecting out telepathically, for lack of a better. Steve, are you out there? Steve, can you hear me? Nothing. Steve, are you out there? Can you hear me? Still nothing. Steve, are you out there? Man, can you hear me? Still nothing. I'm thinking, well, there's probably more than one Steve out there. His nickname was Blab. So I thought, okay. Hey, Blab! Man, are you out there? Can you hear me? I hear this. Bruce, is that you? Yeah, man, where are you at? And all of a sudden, bing, right in the center of my vision, eyes closed, is his face. At the same instant, my wife raises up off the bed. She says, Bruce, what are you doing? Nothing. Why? Because I was totally silent. My body was not moving, and I made very sure that that was so. She said, well, I just saw Steve's face. And I blinked my eyes, and he wouldn't go away. At that point, all I could do was cry, because it touched me so deeply that it happened. And not only did it happen to me, she verified it, because she knew absolutely nothing of what I was doing. My response, though, was, okay, body loses 4 to 6 ounces of weight immediately upon cessation of life. It's been proven medically. Mass has form, weight has mass has form. I wonder if we can see with our lights or with our lights open. With our eyes open. She said, I don't know, it scares me, I'm going back to bed, you do whatever you want. Okay. So I lay back down with my eyes open. And communicating with Steve, Steve, are you out there? Are you really here? Can I see you? Is that possible? And so I just let go and just looked. And pretty soon this form starts taking shape at the end of the bed. And as I'm looking, of course my eyes are becoming more adjusted, and I see this form, and I'm thinking, excuse my language, this is the thoughts that are coming out. I'm fucking out, man. This is outrageous. Tell me, can you travel with the thought? I don't know. And I see trails going out of the room. By trails I mean still action photos going out of the room and coming back in. Now we were at McDowell and 43rd Avenue, and home was back in Indiana. And as soon as he came back in, I said, did you go back home? He said, yeah. And same superlative again, is all I could think of at that point in time. And I said, now wait a minute. Am I really wanting to believe so bad that I'm actually projecting your image there? Because I know how strong, or at least I felt I knew how strong my mind could be because of what I've been able to do as a teenager. Or are you really there? No sooner did I think it than I felt the sheet move across the end of my feet on the bed. The end of the bed move, and I'm like this, focusing in my vision. And he's got his foot up on the end of the bed with his elbow in his hand and his chin in his other hand, smiling at me like a Cheshire cat. Says, how's that? And at that point in time, I didn't know what to do. I laid there thinking, wow, this is really happening. And it finally started reaching those levels of me that couldn't handle it energetically. It was just too much. It was too strong. The realization of it actually being not only possible, thank you very much, but real. So at that point in time, I got up, put some clothes on, took a long walk, and continued talking with him without having to look at it. Now, again, these are things that I don't know why, particularly, these things have been available to me, but it has been a part of my life that has really given me the ability to see another level of structure and to be able to deal with it in a more open way. There were several other things that happened on beyond that, some of which were in comparison rather mundane. Others, such as two things I'll go into. But first, you all know that I use the name Zendor, and I'd like to explain just how that name came about and a little bit about it. Again, all these things I would ask you not necessarily to believe them, because it could be just the ravings of a mad lunatic standing up here wanting you to buy into something. That's not the case. I don't want you necessarily to believe things just because I'm standing up here saying, hey, this happened to me. We all have our ways of testing, and I encourage you to do so, because that's the only way that you're truly going to find out what's right for you, is by putting that truth on the chopping block and whacking away at it as many times as you have to until you're sure that it locks in. Anyway, a friend of mine, he's about 15 years my senior, and I had gone to a full moon meditation. We had come back and was sitting out in the side yard and enjoying the moonlight. About 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I always go to a place within me where I ask, who am I? Not just because of my adoption, but also because when I was in my early 20s, my wife worked for a Superior Court judge, and he took her back into the sealed adoption file in the county courthouse, and there were none. So even with that, I am questioning how I got here. Several psychics over the years have told me that I'm not from here, physically. So what? I'm here. But these are interesting points of perspection, so to speak, that I've been given over time. And be it as it may, I mean, sure, it might be something that could be explored. I don't know how yet. I'm still asking the question. Anyway, as I was sitting in the chair, we were not speaking, and I was deep within myself, and I went to that point of, who am I? He turned to me, and as I turned to look at him, his eyes were deeper than I'd ever seen them. And he simply said, "You are Zendor." And at the same instant, with my eyes wide open, and what I refer to as with my second sight, I saw a door in the heavens open. It was a beautiful, stellar starscape with this door in it, a very large, almost Gothic-looking type door, and it was open. And I thought, wow, this is weird. Definitely got to put this one in the logbook, stick it on the shelf, and deal with it later. So as it was, I'd always wondered if I did have some kind of a solar name or a spiritual name, because, at that point in time, a lot of people were changing their names to their spiritual names, or if not changing, at least taking on spiritual names rather than the names they became from birth.